You are listening to Beyond YOLO, a youth podcast series on real-life stories of resilience in Victoria's North East and New South Wales border region. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands and waters on which we gather, and share these stories and pay our respects to elders, past and present, and encourage everyone to be the champions of our emerging leaders and elders of our future.
Oh, is someone hungry? Oh. So today I had dressage. They're both in the grade 3. Sammy, he was a bit off. Pelly, she did a really nice test. Super happy. This is her first competition, so I'm really happy with her. And she's coming third in the grade 3 open. Hi, my name's Sophia and I live in Yakindanda, which is a small community town in northeast Victoria.
Grade 5 dressage is up.
So we're at Kigunya Horse Trials and it's out near Sandy Creek, near Tangambalanga, out in the middle of nowhere. So these horse trials happen once a year. Usually going up to the event, you try and ride like every day of the week and give them like one rest day maybe. Sit up, kick, legs on, have no options to duck out. Instead of focusing on, oh, I stuffed up that hole, oh, he wasn't straight, oh, I walked too early. Focus on what you're doing next instead of what happened in the past. Tomorrow is the showdoming in cross-country day. So the cross-country part of the event is probably the most intense. I like the water part. Pelly likes water, so my biggest problem with the water is probably that she's going to roll in it.
My name's Tess, I'm Sophia's mum, and Sophia is the youngest of our 4 children. A few years ago, my husband David died in a road collision when someone who was affected by ice and marijuana collided with him. When David died, Sophia had just started school in prep. Until then, he'd been the primary carer as I was working full time.
I reckon he'd be pretty pleased with me. I reckon he'd be glad that I got Sammy still going, because we bred Sammy, so we've had him for a long time. He's 13 this year, so we've had him ever since he was a little foal. I like playing the ukulele. It's really good, and I've got a really good teacher, Bob Hanstra, and we have lots of fun in our lessons. Yeah, I did the busking competition at Yakindanda a couple of years ago, and me and my friend played Riptide by Vance Joy and won that one.
She had a very close relationship with him, as all the children did.
My family, we went up to Alice Springs and we went up to Kings Canyon on a big trip, and we climbed up this cliff, and I was just crawling around on my hands and knees because I was a bit scared of falling off it, and Mum kept saying that Dad would have been doing just the same thing.
Hi, I'm Brendan Hogan and I am a teacher at Yakindanda Primary School.
A couple of years ago I was involved in one of Brendan Hogan's plays, which is called How to Beat a Bully, and I really enjoyed doing that.
She was a great little actress. She was very dedicated to her craft and took her role very seriously. So from that little girl playing violin in the prep room through to being a star on stage in the show How to Beat a Bully, and then to see her now just in Yakindanda as a young adult. Yeah, the level of maturity has just skyrocketed with her.
Sophia is a lot like David, her dad, because he was very connected and liked to be busy and very involved with the community.
I'm very involved, and it makes me probably more confident as a person, and I'm not afraid to stand up and say something or get out there and have a go, and that's probably a good thing.
But I suppose one of the more public ways that the community recognised the contribution of David was through the Yakindanda Billy Cart race.
This is going to be a tight race at the finish here. This is going to be a very tight race.
The Great Yakindanda Billy Cart race was originally developed to encourage fathers to spend time with their children. David was an incredibly hands-on, fun and loving dad who epitomised everything the Yak Billy Cart race represents. David was a firm believer that billy carts should be made of a couple of planks of wood and a piece of baling twine. The Goodwin racing machine saw Florence, Oliver, Lionel and Sophia Goodwin claim many successes here at the Yak Billy Cart race. The Goodwin family is delighted that the yak race continues to bring fathers, families and children together, and that David can be honoured and remembered in this way.
In some ways, because the loss of David was such a traumatic experience and caused by the actions of somebody else's poor choices, the ripple effect is huge. The children are probably the first to bear the brunt of those poor choices, so resilience is, to us, is probably recovering from that trauma and making the most of our lives.
Pretty fun. Like my friend, she wasn't happy with her dressage test today. She was coming last in the class, so she was a bit upset, but I said, "Are you happy with how you went?" And she said, "Yeah, I was pretty happy before I saw the scores." And I said, "Well, that's all that matters really, that you're happy. It doesn't matter what the scores say." I want to help people out. That's why I want to be a doctor, or maybe a role model too, like if I went to WEG or the Olympics or something like that, being a bit of a role model to younger riders.
We've missed him a lot, achieved a lot ourselves, and all the time he spent with them has made them the children they are today.
Focus on what you're doing next instead of what happened in the past, I think is a good way to think of it.
Big thanks to Sophia Goodwin for sharing her story. This story was developed for the Beyond YOLO Youth Podcast series by writer Kate Rotherham and produced by Alison Plasto and Tony Grace of Out of Line. Special thanks to Tess Goodwin. Intros and outros were voiced by Henry Rotherham.
Beyond YOLO has been made possible thanks to funding from the Regional Arts Fund in both Victoria and New South Wales. Murray Arts would like to thank their core funding partners. A big thank you also to ABC Goulburn Murray. This is a Murray Arts podcast series.
If you enjoyed this podcast, tell your peeps so that they can too. You only live once. Beyond YOLO.